Buckle up, because this debate is about to dive headfirst into one of the most controversial issues in American politics: DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The question on the table: does prioritizing diversity undermine merit, or does it correct decades of inequality? Our speakers are about to clash on whether DEI programs create opportunity or erode excellence. And trust me, the arguments here are not just about hiring pilots or admitting students. They strike at the heart of how America defines fairness itself. Let's get into it.
Last year you said something about DEI, unqualified black pilots. You see a pilot on a black pilot. Don't you think it was an irresponsible statement suggesting that maybe these pilots aren't qualified or unqualified?
No. But I'll tell you exactly what I said and why I said it.
Okay, go ahead.
I said, the pretext, I went through a whole windup. I said United Airlines is saying that they want 40% of all their pilots to be people of color or women. We have learned that we have relaxed standards anytime that we try to reach racial quotas. Anytime we reach racial quotas, we relax the standards. Standards for air traffic control, professors, or college admissions. Therefore, when it comes to pilots or surgeons, if I see somebody who is black, as I said on the show, I'm going to hope that that person is qualified. That's what I said, which of course is legitimate, because they're begging the question, we're not hiring based on merit anymore. We're hiring based on race.
Now,
So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
so the airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off diversity.
Underqualified, not
correction, yeah.
underqualified.
Unqualified, underqualified, whatever, uncertified, and put them in a cockpit and risk people's lives?
Those are two different things. Under and un are two different things. Of course, United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them into a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know this through all sorts of DEI examinations and projects over the last 10 years. You have to choose in life. Either excellence or racial quotas will end up being the most important. And both cannot simultaneously exist. It's never happened before.
Okay, so when we talk about DEI, well, who benefits the most? Because black people really don't. It's only like maybe 3 to 4% of black people actually benefit from those programs. So who benefits the most?
I'm not sure your question. I mean, theoretically, if 40% of all pilots end up being black people or people of color.
That's not. I actually looked it up. It's only like maybe about 6% of pilots
their
are black.
goal is 40%, right? That's the point. It's like that's actually a great point. So they wanted to go from 6% to 40%. And so you have to wonder, boy, you go from 6% to 40%, there's going to be a relaxing of standards.
Okay, I guess the way let me see if I can rephrase this. So essentially when you talk about DEI, affirmative action, or anything to that effect.
I'm against all of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that would be fine. The thing is that now it's actually referenced as a slur against.
Here's where the debate hits a boiling point: Harvard's admissions policies. One speaker points to data showing black students admitted with test scores 30% lower than their white counterparts, arguing this proves standards were lowered. But the counter-argument is powerful. Even if admitted with lower scores, those students still face the same rigorous coursework, exams, and pressures. This is where the debate gets real. Is merit only about test scores, or is it also about persistence and performance once you're in? What do you think? Is lowering barriers the same as lowering standards? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Essentially, if you see a black person in a position, or minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified, when literally, and you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to get through. He's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, and they actually drop out at a greater rate too. But the point being is just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
it's not the assumption. It's the data. So for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Okay, now we talked enough about that. So in the past, you made statements about black privilege. So can you explain that to me and what it is? And
yeah, of course. I mean, it's easier for a black person to get into college than a white person. You get with lower test scores. It's called affirmative action.
Okay, so that's been okay. So college admissions has been affirmative action for college admissions has been struck down.
Thank you. Yeah.
So-
I'll give you another example. What percentage of TV commercials have black people versus white people?
I'm not sure about that, but
About
white
40
people are also in commercials.
About
so I don't-
40. No, this is important. About 40 to 50% of all network TV commercials have a person of color right now. What percentage of America is a person of color?
At least for black people, I know we're about 13%.
Yeah, it's about 13% of the population, nearly half of all the TV commercials.
White people are still in the commercials.
Yes, but underrepresented as proportional, though. The point being, I can give you another example. Easier to get corporate jobs. There are entire departments that are dedicated to just try and expand racial quotas.
You know what would really would have fixed this from the beginning had you not had all the. So why do we have DI in the first place? Because this is the problem that creates. So why was DI necessary in the first place? Or at least the government thought it was necessary in the first place.
Why do I think that it was?
No, why would the government?
Do you want my well-intentioned explanation or the?
Whatever you got.
I mean, DEI was obviously about trying to destroy the excellence of the country and elevate racial tribal politics.
Okay, so if you don't have the racism, right, and then you'll need that program. So you eradicate the racism, and that eliminates the need for any kind of program.
No, but if you have excellence, you're going to find the
that
best.
tries to take people and put them in place because they're minorities.
You want the best in everything. So let me just ask a final question, okay? If you were about to board a United Airlines flight from Tallahassee to Atlanta, and you find out the airline pilot says, "Hey, everybody, I'm a pilot. I was hired because of diversity. Let's have a great flight." Would that make you feel good or not so good?
No, but I know he's still got to be qualified in order to fly that aircraft.
But he said, "I was hired because of diversity," and you're like,
You still got to meet the standards in order to get into a cockpit.
well, again, we know because air traffic controllers and many others, they relax those standards. When you have a surgeon,
You're saying that, but look, you're not. It does not make sense. It's irresponsible. Not only to say that, but to actually put unqualified people in and risk lives.
But we know that's actually happening every day, and that's why it doesn't make sense. But racial quotas end up mattering more than excellence. When I go in for surgery, I want my surgeon to be the best surgeon, and here's where we can
I would
agree.
agree with that,
We
yes.
want a merit-based society, not a race-based society.
I say we should have started that way from the beginning. But at any rate, then the last thing. I don't want to hog the mic, but I'll just say
That's
this
fine.
last thing. So you talked about black fathers, absentee, and all this other stuff and everything else. I actually agree. Okay, more fathers in the home and everything else. That's wonderful stuff. The thing is that you also said, and I'm looking at some of your stuff previous, that there's a system in place that actually incentivizes women to make babies without husbands.
It's a
right?
great society.
Take that away,
I
and
agree.
then that problem essentially goes away.
I agree.
Now, I would ask this question also: what % of black men do you think are abandoning their homes right now?
Well, we know that it's actually 60 to 70%.
Okay, then you'd actually be wrong because the CDC actually submitted a report in 2023 that says 54% of black men don't even have children.
But that's
54%.
Those are two different numbers, man. I'm talking about those that impregnate.
Okay. Well, most black men are actually producing children within the construct of
I'm
marriage.
talking
right?
about just the kids.
So you're saying black men are getting married and then leaving their
They're not
families?
getting married. That's the problem. What I'm
What?
saying is the data. I'm
Sir,
saying 2 out of 3 black men impregnate women and don't stay with them.
Sir, I'm telling you that 54% of black men, according to the CDC study 2023 National Health Statistics Reports, literally says that 54% don't even have children.
I know that's a complete different stat. Everyone knows what I'm saying and not what you're saying. That's
Okay.
a complete different. That's like a.
So-
what I'm saying is that if you have a black child,
And that's where the debate wraps. We heard fiery claims about DEI hiring, affirmative action, and family structures, with each side framing data in very different ways. One paints DEI as a threat to excellence, while the other insists qualification remains the baseline, no matter your race. The bigger takeaway: this isn't just about pilots, colleges, or commercials. It's about whether America values representation as much as results. What side are you on? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explosive debate breakdowns just like this. Claire?
which obviously exists for some reason, right? Somebody did something to make that black baby.
Okay.
2 out of 3 times, the dad will not be around. Fact. Done.
All right.
Only out of who actually has kids.
Yeah, it's only out of. Thank you. The statistics are actually out of only those who have kids.
So you got black men who are married also. They're not abandoning their children and families at high rates.
But
That don't get married.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the vast majority of black babies are born out of wedlock with abandoned fathers.
Okay, so let's do this. Now, if that's bad for black,
It's bad for all. It's bad for everybody.
So then shouldn't that be your main line then?
It is actually. Everywhere I go, I
No,
talk about
when
dads.
you do it, you kind of focus on black men as if somehow we're the only ones. That's part of that problem.
Well, no, but it is a black men abandonment issue, of course. I mean, would you agree that's probably the biggest issue facing Black America is lack of dads?
It's one of the issues.
Okay, what is the biggest issue?
I don't know. I haven't kind of thought
That's
about
fine.
that.
I want you
I'll
to think
just say-
about it over the next couple of days. We as conservatives believe
because we got a lot of problems. But I'll
the breakdown of family, we believe, is the original sin of what's happening. We think that truth transcends color. It's true for white people, black people, Asians, Hispanics. Final thought.
Okay, fine, good question. Good conversation. That's just my thing is when I hear you talk about it, it seems like you're framing it improperly, and then people are here saying that I'm doing it improperly. But
No,
I'm a black man in America. I
That's
know
okay.
something about
I'm just offering you grace. I'm not saying that your number is wrong. I'm just saying that it's a statistic that wasn't necessarily relevant to what I was saying. So thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks for talking.